Those of you who don't know Amy Brady is the Chief Information Officer for KeyBank, and she leads the company's technology and operations organization, which has close to 5,000 personnel. She also sits on the company's executive council and the executive leadership team. Prior to joining Key, she was the chief information officer for enterprise technology for Bank of America. Now, Amy, come on, let's sit down. Amy and I have had an opportunity to talk at these conferences. I think this is our third time.
It is.
So when we retire, we should start our own TV show.
I was just excited that you said I'm one of your favorite clients, because I know there's been some conversations that I don't think that's probably true, but that's okay.
That's a part of the game.
That's part of it. So I love that.
So as I mentioned earlier, I think this is the third time that Amy's up here, and every time KeyBank goes through a significant milestone, doing all the cool things that we talked about over the last half an hour, I always ask her to come and speak join me in these conversations and speak to all of the attendees who are at Oracle Industry Connect. And each time I'm impressed with how quickly and systematically KeyBank is moving through these transformations and adopting technology. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in straight. Do you have any opening comments for the audience?
No, let's go.
All right, excellent. So I did prepare a few questions. I saw the last presentation that Beth Mooney did to the analyst community, and there were some very impressive statistics in that presentation. It's my belief that KeyBank has really defied market expectations, particularly after the First Niagara acquisition. And it's been a great demonstration of how banks should really adopt technology to make a tremendous impact in not only integration post an acquisition like that, a pretty large acquisition, but really make an impact on the growth strategy. So from kind of a vantage point from the executive leadership team of the company, can you give us, your perspective, how technology is truly being leveraged broadly, and what is the view of the board and the view of your investors on the transformations that have happened?
Well, I'd love to say I could speak on the view of the investors, but those of you in financial services know we can never predict our investors, so I'm not even going to talk about them. But I will say, so those, if you don't know KeyBank, we're not the 300-year-old institution that you talked about that's here, but we're a 200-year-old institution that is the 13th largest super regional financial services company in the United States. And in 2015, late 2015, Beth Mooney, our CEO, announced the acquisition of First Niagara Bank, which was the largest acquisition post-financial crisis. And so we announced that in October of 2015, and in October of 2016, we converted First Niagara to KeyBank 100% over a weekend, which required converting over 240 systems into the KeyBank ecosystem. Now, not that that wasn't enough. We also, at the same time, were undergoing some really transformational work with Oracle on what we called our Digital 17 program, which was re-architecting from stem to stern our digital platforms. And we were on what you and I had announced as a very progressive transformational journey, which was going very well. But when we announced that acquisition, we realized we had kind of a decision to make. We could slow that work and pick it up after the transition, or we could accelerate that work and have it ready for the 1 million new clients we were bringing onto our platform. And so we chose the acceleration route together. And so on top of doing the transition, we accelerated that digital platform and delivered it like 6 to 9 months early so that we could bring those new clients onto a fully modernized digital experience. Now, I have to commend the team. Like Oracle, I have the privilege of working with some really talented teammates. And so all of this can't happen without, first off, having talented engineers and talented teammates. And so the combination of the Oracle team and our teams together working on this, as you can imagine, resources were pulled in many directions. We also had several other modern platforms that we accelerated for that same purpose. So a new mortgage originations platform, a new commercial underwriting platform, to name a couple. So we took a very different approach and said, wait, we can't do the old way that banks had done this before, where once you're in the acquisition business, you stop doing everything else. because we didn't want to wake up on the other side and be behind again. We committed that we were going to do both. We were going to be bimodal, if you will. We were going to do the conversion and bring in new technologies. And so between the technologies, a maturing data ecosystem, if you will, and innovative digital technologies, we were able to deliver. And I will say that if we hadn't had that innovative digital platform ready and up and running, we wouldn't have delivered the client experience like we wanted. And we were able to make adjustments on the fly during our conversion week and the days after to ensure that our clients were really having that world-class experience that they deserved in their new institution. So there is no doubt that you have to be able, for all of us that are older than, let's say, a startup, we have got to be able to run with some of these legacy systems, transform and modernize, and at the same time work with the most modern of technologies to bring that customer experience you're talking about.
Absolutely, and I'm actually gonna delve deeper into that because I think it's worth talking about. It was quite a factor during the integration. So what I've seen is, you can't go to any one of these conferences now, regardless of the industry, and not hear about how demanding consumers are, and particularly if you look at B2C type consumers, if you're a retail bank, the demands and expectations of consumers, and as the new digital natives, as we call them, or the millennials become mainstream, their demands are very, very high. And frankly, banks are still struggling to prepare today for the customers of tomorrow. But you guys have made some bold investments and strategies in digitizing and innovating. And one of the key phrases that I always hear being used at KeyBank is this notion of financial wellness. Mm-hmm. And that's become kind of the rallying cry for how to take customers from this notion of just being a banking customer to really caring about their financial wellness. So talk a little bit about, what drove that initiative. And, I've seen some of the stats once again on how much adoption there is and what's the satisfaction with that entire process. So let's hear from you about that.
So and I'll step back for a moment to just talk about innovation in general, because that led to also the financial, it kind of links to how we're executing against financial wellness. And we think about innovation. Look, people always say banks aren't innovative, and I want to dispel that myth for those of you who are in the industry. I mean, banks have been innovative for decades, right? I mean, we were the first ones, think about it, in the 1960s that came out with ATMs, and at that time, those were really innovative. Now they're mainstream, but they were innovative. We may have gone through a couple decades where we got a little bit lazy as an industry, and because I don't think our customers demanded, to your point, what they're demanding today. And now, because of the examples you shared at Walmart and Netflix and all the others, our clients, whether they be millennials or not, quite frankly, people our age too, Sunny, and we're outside that millennial age group, also demand that digital, simple, easy experience, convenience. And what's interesting enough is if you think it's just consumer, it's not, right? Because all of us that are consumers expect that in our business life. So the CFOs of the companies we bank expect that. So you have to be innovative, and we've chosen a kind of a dual approach. One, innovate internally, innovate with our people, innovate through, we have our own hackathons where we innovate with software and we innovate with analytics to deliver value and kind of how are we progressing. We innovate we have a DevOps team that it's constantly thinking about how do we do continuous deployment where we can, and then pushing the envelope to how we bring that to some of our systems that aren't architected that way. And then we also innovate with partners. We innovate with partners like Oracle, and we innovate with fintechs. And we were innovating with a company called Hello Wallet, which was delivering financial wellness. We really liked their purpose, their mission, to really deepen that conversation, because we know that for most consumers, one of the things that stresses you out the most is, are you financially secure? What's your financial health? And so we partnered with them in a very innovative fintech relationship. Subsequently, we ended up acquiring them and bringing that technology into our company because we do believe it's such a core part of our strategy. And so we're building out that strategy, which has to be powered by analytics, like you talked about, and real-time analytics, insightful analytics that the client wants to consume. So we're working through that and we're maturing through it. But we've got lots of examples where we're partnering with startups, mid-size, and more mature fintechs, if you will, to be able to deliver, co-innovate together, because instead of being threatened by the fintechs, let's think about how we bring that to bear for our clients in a way that's a differentiated model.
Great, great, and it's paying off. And looking at the adoption and looking at the satisfaction statistics, you can tell that that's an experience that customers are truly looking for. So let's tackle another area, lending.
Yeah.
Most banks are typically reticent about changing out systems that are sitting and running for decades. It's just one of those things that you don't want to mess with. But KeyBank has actually made some bold moves in this area. You guys are changing out not only just the digital experience and some of the engagement capabilities, but you're going literally end to end, replacing servicing, collections, everything. So, what is some of the thinking behind that, and what really underpins a modern lending strategy?
Yeah, so I think you talked about this a little bit in your opening, Sunny, where most of us don't want to have to touch our core platforms, right? It's hard to find a business case for that. One of the things that as we went through our integration with First Niagara, it clearly exposed some of the age of some of our core systems and the complexity that had been built up over years and years of customizations, things, people adding things to it, and the age of not only our system, but the people that supported those systems and the lack of knowledge about those systems. You hadn't touched them in years, but then when you went to touch them, it was really, really hard. So we came out of that and said, wait a second, we've got to step back from modernizing our consumer lending servicing systems. But on top of that, when you talk about a fully digital experience, we know that our clients want more self-service. So digital means really delivering to the front end an experience that our clients have choice on how they interact, where they interact, and when they interact. And lending is a big part of what we deliver, right, is those core lending products. But to do that, we knew our core systems couldn't support it. So we did. We bit the bullet, and this year we are replacing all of our consumer lending servicing systems that you really don't normally want to touch, and we're partnering with Oracle to deliver the non-real estate portion of that, lending portion of that, all the way through from when you board the loan, all the way through to collections if a loan happens to default. Because if you think about it, even in that process, the client wants self-service. The client wants to be able to do that. If they do default on a loan, they really do want to repay with you, but they want to do it in a dignified way and do it in the way they want to repay. So we believe we can really transform that process. That will lead to originations and moving that on up. And again, the way we architected this with you 4 years ago, allowing it to be a progressive journey for us so that you don't have all these big, large, monolithic programs that can get out of control, and that you can be nimble and responsive to market conditions that might change. But we are taking it on, and by the end of this year, we'll have made significant steps, and by the end of next year, we will have it complete.
Stellar. Can't wait, because then that'll be the next time we sit down.
That's right. That's right.
So the value of data, and I talked a little bit about that, I think that can scarcely be, overemphasized. It's critical not only for the amount of non-discretionary spend that banks have to do, but also, deriving true value from those investments. Now, I know KeyBank is following that pattern of bringing all of their risk and finance data together. What is some of the thinking behind it, and how do you intend to get leverage from that investment?
So there's no doubt in our mind that you cannot deliver a digital experience that isn't powered by true analytics, right, and insights. So we are fortunate that we have been on a data journey, and we have built a data factory, if you will, and a data supply chain over the past 6-7 years that's very powerful, strong governance, really good views of our clients and our data that we leverage very heavily in risk and finance today. That journey will never be over. You're constantly adding new data sources. You're constantly mining that data and refining that data as needed. But what we are moving to is now, how do you deliver that, deliver analytics for the client? And financial wellness is a good example of that. But instead of doing analytics for ourselves about our clients, how do we deliver powerful analytics to our clients that give them the choice and enable them to do what they need to do for their own financial wellness. And by the way, the concept of financial wellness extends into small business and business banking. Really, if you think of any life cycle of any of our clients, they're looking for insights, right, around how do they manage their financials better. So we're also using data and analytics with our enterprise commercial payments clients and delivering products and services for them that really give them insights around how they're managing their money. So it is an area that, and no doubt, those of us who get it right, it is a differentiator. Is it expected? It is expected, but it is one that we are early in our journey and one that we're challenging ourselves to continue to get better.
Stellar. So, when I think about KeyBank and its role as a community bank, I mean, clearly you have some specific imperatives and priorities given the role that you play as a super regional. And there are so many technologies that we see thrown out, from companies around the globe today, new ways of doing things, new technologies that are constantly being invented. So give us a perspective about, how you guys wade through that and think about these technologies and how you deploy them for the specific goals you have to be a completely superlative community bank.
Look, I think that's the hard part, Sunny. As you said, the velocity of the change that's coming at all of us, the life cycle, if you will, of the technologies we're deploying is shortening, and so we've got to be smart. But you also have to try lots of different things, and so I go back to we are looking at a multi-pronged approach in how do we partner with fintechs around what capabilities they're delivering, how do we enable our teams to get creative and really explore and create on their own to see what they can deliver, and how do we then bring those things to market. Speed matters. So analytics matters, but speed matters as well, and I think that is going to be a differentiator of those of us who are successful in 5 years, whatever, 3 years maybe, whatever it is. And so building that technology ecosystem that allows you to go faster and respond quickly and then maybe change course, I think is equally as important as what technologies you're actually delivering.
So if you look forward, say, we get an opportunity to talk 12 months from now, 18 months from now, what would you want to look back and say is successful, and what kind of transformation? It's kind of a question, blue sky kind of question. What are the things that are aspirational for KeyBank and for yourself in the next 12
18 months, I can tell you exactly what we got to. I mean, that's easy. 18 months, we have a roadmap. I mean, in 18 months from now, I hope we're back here telling you, well, we will be back here telling you that our lending transformation with Oracle was a huge success, that our financial crimes transformation that we're doing with Oracle was a huge success. I should have mentioned we're about to go live in 2 weeks with a new cash transaction reporting, currency transaction reporting system. We will have a new Know Your Customer system thanks to Oracle by the end of this year. Yep. Right?
Yes, okay. Absolutely.
So we'll have a totally modernized financial crimes platform. We have some things we're doing with our profitability to take it to the next level. So in 18 months, those things will be complete. What I'd like to see us further along is delivering, to your point, is how do we deliver now those capabilities in a way that we're offering self-service to our clients that they don't have today. So how do we bring it to the user experience layer in a way that our clients want to consume either knowingly or in the case of like Know Your Customer, we want that to be so seamless to them that it's easy. So we're delivering that ease, value, and expertise to them in a way that's so client-centric that they don't even know it's happening. And so that's the aspirational piece, is then how do we bring all of this modernization to the front layer in a self-service, whether it's through opening our APIs to other other fintechs to help us with that, or whether you help us with that, right? So that's the part that I think will be the transformational piece for our clients.
Absolutely, and we have full intention of participating and helping you with that.
You've got a lot of witnesses that tell me they're going to deliver this stuff for us flawlessly. So
we'll never need witnesses in this.
No, actually you don't. You have a great engineering team.
So, Amy, I think this journey has been absolutely phenomenal for Oracle, working with you guys, bringing your leading edge thinking into our products, bringing our products into your bank. And I can't thank you enough for the partnership that has existed between the two companies. So I really appreciate you coming up here periodically, sharing your successes, and I look forward to the next one.
Thanks, Sunny.